Questions?
I guess just to start with, you've been here for a few months. Have you gotten the lay of the land and what your charge is and what you're supposed to do? Can you go over that just a little?
Yeah, the lay of the land I think is a little bit much. I'm trying to the last 2 months just kind of get my feet wet. I was telling Kyle here that it's the second time I've been down here, seeing the area and didn't really know where the media room was. So that's the biggest thing for me. But coming down to Arkansas, it's been fantastic ever since I stepped foot down here. People have been really, really nice. There's a lot of different places to explore. My family's happy with it. They enjoy being here. So we're just happy to get started, get going.
Arkansas has not been at the top of the revenue or the NIL
Mm-hmm.
portion of the SEC. Do you believe that revenue sharing will help make things more equitable? And secondly, do you believe the College Sports Commission it's going to impose enough, structure to fines and what have you to work in that regard?
I think we got to just find the right players, right? I think overall, when you're competing with money, the money is the money. I think at the end of the day, we got to get the right people for Arkansas. I think that's the biggest thing. And our fan base wants us to be extremely competitive. I'm extremely competitive. All of our coaches are extremely competitive. We're going to get the right players for Arkansas. That's the most important for us. We'll compete with some of the money issues that are going to be out there. I think a lot of the cap stuff that we're going to see going forward is going to level it out a little bit more so that we can compete from a money standpoint. But I think it starts with the players. We got to get the right players for us.
Yurchek talked to us in June about you filling out your staff and hopefully having some things in place by August.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you stand and how you see the structure of your staff?
Well, I don't have a staff in place, and I think we'll go over that as when the time is right. I do think we've gone back and forth about a few positions that will help us in the long run, but talked to a few people. I'll be honest about that. We talked to a few people about different things, and I think it's about getting the right people in to help us out and be a part of this because it's important we get it right the first time. So we'll get the right people in, and when the time is right to disclose all that, we'll let you guys know.
What made you feel like you were a good fit at Arkansas and it was the right time?
Initially I didn't think I would be. I thought initially coming from the pros, getting into the college landscape, this climate of things was a bit different for me. Working in the pros with the Celtics for the last 12 years, it's all I knew, right? And so I think coming down here and being a part of this, as soon as I got down here, started talking to people, it made it abundantly clear that it was a challenge that I wanted to take on. It was a challenge that I wanted to be a part of. The people that I've been introduced to since I've been down here, the people that are in this office, that work hard every single day, that have held my hand a lot through this whole for our last 2 months here, have made it really, really easy to kind of be a part of this and say I made the right decision.
And obviously you have your background with professional basketball, but now it's in that whole athletic department. Just how are, I guess, skills that you acquired there transferable or translatable to, now dealing with football rosters, et cetera?
I'm very collaborative. I work with a lot of different people. I'm able to kind of be a chameleon in some ways. And I also think that this position, this role, leans more so into strategy. I think being able to kind of look at a cap, not just in the present year, but 2 years, 3 years from now, giving my opinions to coaching staffs of how they could go about going around the cap and figuring out ways to get players that they want in. I think that's important, right? And then, of course, we have great staffs that do a lot of the recruiting. They have scouts in their staff. They have personnel staffs. We have some of the best in the country across the board. And so we're going to lean on them a lot to do a lot of the heavy lifting there, and we'll continue to give them advice, on how we can put rosters together in a way that's very beneficial to only the athlete as well, but also the university.
Arkansas passed a bill to make NIL deals exempt from state taxes. Do you think that that's helped you at all?
Rev share exempt, yeah.
Do you think that's helped you at all?
I think it has in some of our discussions with some of our athletes that we would like to get in. I think they understand that if they go somewhere else and more money is being taken out of their pocket, that's not what they want to do. And so it's helped us. I would assume it's helped us a little bit, just closing the gap on some of those potential deals out there. But we have more to offer than just non-state taxes. We're the University of Arkansas. We should see ourselves that way.
follow up on that. Are the majority of athletes even kind of aware of that landscape, and is there a plan to kind of push for more legislation to help in that?
I can't answer that, but I would say that we want to be as transparent with our athletes, our incoming athletes, our current athletes. We don't want to keep them in the dark. We want to educate them, right, so that they have all the information that they need to make the best decisions for them and their families. We want to make sure that, you know, when they come here, they're not feeling like we're pulling the curtain over their eyes and you know, treating them the way they shouldn't be. Because at the end of the day, we want to get guys here and have them stay here, right? We want guys leaving if they're going to the NFL, NBA, MLB, or they're just graduating, right, matriculating out. So we want guys to, and our women's sports also, to be here, want to be here, stay here, and help us win, but also at the time get a great education and be able to come back and say, I'm a University of Arkansas Razorback.
Non-revenue / Olympic sports are certainly a part of it, but how does the department approach allocating money to each sport, percentages?
Yeah, we can't talk about percentages and how we allocate those funds currently, but I do know that we will be making sure that all of our sports teams have a way to compete at level. We want to make sure that the teams that are participating in our rev share at a high level, that they have what they need as well. But even if our other teams that are not participating in rev share, we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that they're a part of a structure that helps them get the players that they want and what they need to be on a competitive level. So, we're working through all that. I think there's no easy explanation for all of this stuff. We're just trying to figure out the best course of action for our team and our university.
I mean, you touched on a little bit ago how you were kind of unsure your fit, what it would be at Arkansas. I'm curious, when you talked to the higher-ups and Hunter Yurchek, what was it about their vision that sold you to come here?
I mean, I've worked for Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens, two of the best leaders that I've ever seen. Like, those guys are extremely humble. They work hard. They're open. They take ideas from some of the oddest places out there. They're not afraid to make mistakes. And I think it was easy when talking to Hunter over and over again that I could see a lot of that in him, where he was able to be a person that was open to new ideas and to, create a vision of all this, right? Where we're going in a direction that college sports has never seen before. And he hasn't been afraid to kind of jump into the deep end and try new things. So I commend him for that. I appreciate him for that. A lot of us here are very appreciative of the ideas that he's brought to the table and the ability to come bring ideas to him every single day. So that's been great. It's been great being here.
And then also, when you kind of look at the landscape of college athletics, you have your big three sports and then kind of the other sports. Curious for you, what's the focus when it comes to trying to get some of these smaller Olympic sports on that same scale that everything kind of evens out?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's communication with their coaching staffs, what it is that they need, what it is they think they need. And then, like I said, being as transparent with the players, the student athletes as best we can. What do they see their needs are? How can we help meet them halfway? And if we can't do something, we just can't do something. I'm not afraid to say, no, we can't do this. We can't do that. But I do think being as transparent so that somebody can make the right decision for themselves and their families is important.
Thanks.
Real quick, like how back to the staff. Do you have an idea of how many people you'd like to hire to be a part of this general manager staff?
Yeah, enough to make this all go. I think that's the end of the day. We want to make sure we're bringing the right people. I think it's quality over quantity at this point. If we get the right people in to help us do what we want to do, and it's not just me; it's for the entire department as well. We're going to be leaning on some of these people to help us make some big decisions going forward, and put us in a position to be successful in the long term.
Like a couple months ago, you're a part of the defending NBA champions, right? And in a sport that you played in college. You talked a little bit about the competitive nature and the challenge, but just why? Like, what made you want to make this jump and come here?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge, I always say that, right? It was just a new challenge that I needed. I mean, you go into that building every single day, and you're grateful to be there, right? I mean, you see all the banners and stuff. We don't hang division banners up there, conference championship banners. We hang NBA championship banners. And you see the wide open banner every single day with just a blank banner for the next one to come along. And the people there, more than anything, I'll continue to miss and appreciate. I'll lean on all those guys. Obviously, they went through the draft last night, but when I looked at it, I said, you know what? I could continue to do this and kind of just be on the straight every single year, summer league, preseason, 82-game season, trade deadline, right? Draft, free agency. Let's run it back again. Let's run it back again. Let's run it back again. I wanted to kind of get off that hamster wheel, try something different, where every single day I'm being forced to kind of step away from my comfort zone, try new things, meet new people, and then just kind of be solution based. You know, a lot more often than we were in Boston. And in Boston, we had a lot of smart people in the building. They still do. They have a lot of smart people. And what's going to happen, continue to happen, is that they're going to continue to churn out new talent every single year. And I just felt like, you know, why not get out where I can and try and help someone else and can I take on a new challenge that makes more sense at the time?
I know this might be a difficult question, but like the percentage or what you think about your own role, how much of it is maybe scouting, evaluation, just conversation? Like, how do you kind of define your role right now and what you do on maybe a day-to-day basis?
I think it's just like pick up the pieces where things need to be picked up. You know, I said to Hunter, you know, just when we initially got on with this and started working and things, it's like I just want to help people out. Coaching staff needs something. They need advice on this particular rule that we're looking at. Like, call us up. Let's figure it out. If you want to talk about roster, players, all that stuff, you need a connection to somebody that I may have. Let's figure it out. So I think in my role, it's just trying to be a connector in a lot of ways, making sure every staff has what they need from a rev share standpoint, but also is brought up to speed on the new rules that are coming through that we're all kind of learning right now. We don't have a lot of answers to, but we're trying to get ahead of it and be proactive in that space.
I mean, you talked about keeping athletes here, and
Yep.
that Arkansas is a great place to be. Now that you've been here for a little bit, what's your sales pitch to some of these athletes?
Come to Arkansas. You'll figure it out once you get here. I think being in Boston, I've always been a city kid. I grew up in Boston, went to Philadelphia, went back to Boston, been there the last 14 years, and so. Coming down here, I used to come down here to watch, Muss's pro days and things like that. And over the last 5 years, I was doing the SEC. Primarily, that was a lot of what I was doing. And you come down here and, the 10-minute drive from the airport is like, cows and chickens and things like that. And so I was, I came down here with my wife and, I tried to tell her, like, have an open mind, we'll figure this thing out. But I think both of us, when we got down here, we started going out, we started meeting the people. It's a sense of you just don't want to leave. And I think there's a lot of people that live here that are coming from other places. I'm talking about like LA and Chicago and Philadelphia, all these different places, bigger cities. They come down here and they don't want to leave. And so I think that's a testament to what Arkansas is. It's not just about the big businesses that are here, which is a beautiful thing to have on top of it. It's just about the culture that's down here that's being built out. And if you're not a part of it, you're missing out. You really are.
Sam talked to us about when you had just gotten hired, how beneficial it is for the coaching staff to be taken out of some tough conversations with student athletes. Can you describe how that might be beneficial for you to have those conversations and just how good it is to have a GM role on staff?
I don't mind having tough conversations. I don't think that that's a bad thing either. I think that when you want an answer to a question and it's negative, it's just what it is, right? And so I think when Sam has those conversations, we want to make sure that Sam is the good guy, coaching every single day, paying attention to his players' needs, from a football standpoint, and just keeping the money stuff out of it. I think that helps him. But again, that's his situation. Every situation is different. I think for Sam, that helps him in a lot of ways, just be able to connect with those guys on a very personal level, and be the person he is on a day-to-day basis. Allow me to be able to have those tough conversations and say, we can't do this, we can't do that, or sometimes, deliver some good news. We can do this, we can do that. So, I think it's been positive for him, and I hope it continues to be positive.
Remy, I had another question about your staff. When it comes to, Hunter was telling us you'd bring in, a football-specific guy, a basketball-specific guy. When it comes to the football-specific guy, are you looking for anything in particular? Do you want a guy that has NFL experience, a guy that has college experience? What are you looking for in that role?
No, so we haven't really talked about exactly what we'll end up landing on. I think that role specifically could be something that we look at a little bit farther down too. I think Hunter alluded to that as well. But I do think there's good people at all different levels that can evaluate talent. It doesn't have to be at the NFL. It could be at the college level. It could be somebody that's just getting out of school and everything that just puts in the time. And so we'll look at all different angles of how we can get, which I think is going to amount to someone that just can watch a lot of film, and give ideas and opinions and throw some things out there. So we'll figure out that stuff when it comes. But there's a lot of good people out there. If anyone has any ideas, I'm all ears.
I was curious for you personally. When did you realize? I mean, obviously you got a background playing basketball. When did you realize you wanted to get into this side of sports stuff? Whether it be at the pro level, at the Celtics, or this role.
I tell people this all the time. I actually wanted to be an agent when I was like in college. And then, I started working in this business because, one thing kind of led to the next. I ended up getting an internship with the Celtics and I ended up going on in 2013 that fall to kind of be a part of their front office. And I saw what agents have to go through on a day-to-day basis and kind of, being up, all night, every single night and doing little things for their clients and stuff. You have one client over here, one client over there. You got to fly to that city, be, present all the time. It's like, I don't want to live that life and have to work on necessarily commissions and stuff. So, once I got onto the sports side of things, the team side of things, it made a lot of sense to me. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do long term. And it became it for me. Every day waking up and you're able to watch sports. That's a dream come true, right? So I think that was, really fun for me, and it kept me on this path, and I want to do it for my life. I really do. Yeah.
Assuming you'll be talking with agents and handling negotiations, when you hit an impasse with a kid or an agent on something that they want that you just cannot do, but Sam or Cal wants the kid and has kind of put the edict out there, just get him here. What is that conversation like with them?
We got to be open, have honest dialogue, and say, this is going to be a hard situation to get done. We're going to try our best, but we may not get it done because there's some things that are just going to be in the way of us getting it done from a monetary standpoint. But again, it's the coaching staff's vision, right? Whatever they want to get done from that standpoint with their rosters, we're going to try and do everything we possibly can to get it done. I'm personally not necessarily a yes man, but I will, give my opinion on certain things, especially as time goes along. And they can have the full autonomy to say yay or nay. That's their vision.
In the NBA, well, especially in the NBA now, it feels like GMs have total power over roster building, which obviously will be a much different role here. But do you see yourself having conversations, whether it's with Cal, Sam, or anybody else, if there's a dispute, if they're leaning one way or another on a kid, or if there's a dispute and money's involved, will you have any say in that at all, or is it just really 100% up to the coach?
Well, my staff and everybody else that's involved in this building that's touching the rev share cap and some of the NIL responsibilities, there are restrictions that we just can't, go over. And so with that in mind, from that standpoint especially, there will be some level of pushback. But again, from a player evaluation standpoint, who they want on their rosters, that's entirely going to be their vision. And as time goes along, I hope they trust me to kind of get in the fray with that as well. But if not, that's not what this job is necessarily about. It's about the strategy behind how they're putting together their rosters and how they can go from two guys to maybe a third guy on their roster without having to put out as much money to go get them. And so it's the strategic way of doing things as opposed to just the full-on watching film and evaluating talent.
What is yours and Hunter's approach to additional scholarships now with the settlement rules, to where I think you'd have to pledge $2.5 million of the 20.5 cap?
Yeah, no, that's what we're doing currently. I think going forward it could change from year to year, but currently we're pledging the $2.5 million, and that will be a part of that money pot that we have. So we're gonna make sure our student athletes have what they need, and scholarship is part of that.
First things on your plate when you got here was transfer portal stuff. We're just kind of curious where the lawsuits against Madden and Desmond James currently stand.
Yeah, I can't speak on those things at all right now. That it's a situation where we just can't go into detail on, but I appreciate the question.
I'm curious about your relationships with Sam Pittman and Coach Cal. How would you characterize
Yeah.
the number of times, and just what your conversations with those two have been like.
Yeah, I mean, Cal's a busy guy. You know, he's always ripping and running and stuff. I mean, he was just over in OKC watching the finals and the playoffs and everything. He's constantly in and out. My son was just at his camp the last 3 days, and so it's more so just trying to get some time where he has time. You know, that we can sit down over the summertime. I know he's been busy the entire last 9 months, and so everybody's trying to get away from it all. His coaching staff has been really open to me in a lot of different ways to have very open and honest conversations. I hope that continues going forward. And then Sam has been fantastic. I mean, Sam is, you guys know, like his personality, it radiates through a room. And so, funny guy. I could sit and talk to him for a while. I think him allowing me to come in and talk to him through some ideas has been really easy. And I think he's seen some benefit from that. And I hope it continues going forward.
I know some schools have laid out there what they're going to do. We're going to devote this much percentage of revenue share to football, this to men's basketball, so on. How close can you give us to the numbers that you guys are working with?
Can't. But I will say that we're going to put forth a good effort to be competitive in all of our sports from a revenue sharing standpoint. So those numbers that are getting tossed out there, we're happy to accept them and see them from our standpoint. We're just not going to do that from University of Arkansas.
Will you have? I feel like we've given you a lot of job description questions today. Will you have any say or influence on potential staff hirings, firings from the coaches? Will that be part of your job, or is it strictly a roster thing?
I am working with the coaches. I am working with Hunter. I am working with everybody that's here at the university to try and make sure our teams have what they need. That type of stuff is not a part of what I'm here to do.
Just what's been maybe the biggest surprise coming into college athletics in this Wild West world we might be in? I mean, has there anything caught you maybe off guard the first few months?
No, I mean, everybody seems to be running from the burning building that is college sports. I'm running into it, which is kind of what I enjoy. But it's been great. I can't. There's been no complaints. Like I said, I'm busy every single day. I talk to some really smart people and everything all day long, and we're trying to solve some big issues that are going to be seen going forward in college sports. And so I'm happy to be a part of it. And this has been really, really a good start to what I hope is a long career here.
Do you have a minimum number of people that you'll need on your staff, and like a football specific and a men's basketball specific and beyond that?
No. This is mostly, well, like I said, this is a we're going to carry out our coaches' vision, what they want for their rosters, however way we can get the players that they want from a strategic standpoint and a rev share standpoint and a potential NIL standpoint. We're going to do that because we want to be as competitive as we possibly can going forward, and that's just the way that things are built right now for sure.
Two more. We've already seen some schools eliminate some sports. Is that something that you've heard any conversation about since you've been here?
That's not a part of what my job will entail. Understanding that, I'll certainly communicate stuff with Hunter, and he'll communicate back with myself and everybody else on staff if any of those things ever come to fruition. But we haven't had those discussions at all.
You mentioned the burning building that college sports is, and people running out of it. And one of the reasons coaches are running out of it is because the transfer portal. Kids can just come and go as they please.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of putting kids under contract that would lock them up to a specific university for a while?
If they want to be here, yeah, for sure. I think it's when you enter a contract with someone, it's not to bind them. It's to make sure that they feel comfortable just as you're feeling comfortable. It's almost like a marriage, right? You want to make sure that they're as happy as you are with the situation, right? And if it's a situation where they're just not comfortable and they're here because their contract says they have to be here, that's not the kind of people that we want. And so, if we get players in the portal, our coaching staffs have done a fantastic job of vetting them for people that we want to have here at the university, first and foremost, and that want to be here. That's the biggest thing. So contracts are what they are and what they will be. We'll talk about those in between us and the specific player, but overall, we're going to make sure we get the right people for the university.
Thanks, Remy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.